Hi everyone, I just wanted to give you some support in our statistical analysis for this osmolarity lab today. So I'm not really sure how familiar you are with using statistics and analyzing data. Some of you may have taken that already, and some of you could be even better at it than me. So I want to support you, but I also, if I'm telling you things and you already know it, jump ahead. So the first thing I want to do is just to make sure your graphs turned out okay. I haven't seen those yet, but let me just show you what I was looking for in terms of a graph so I can set this up and kind of work through these problems with you. So the very first thing here is to highlight the data that you're going to put in, insert chart. And here I'm only going to use the mean of the different percentages that you all calculated. So I'm going to create a line graph. For this, I think it looks better in terms of setting that up for that. I'm going to add my x-axis over here with my different molarities. Set up, x-axis, boom, okay, not boom. Remove, try again. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, there we go. All right. You need to go in and customize this. You need to put a title on it, possibly label, not possibly, label your X and Y axis. And also you could circle your point at which it hit 0. So hopefully you have all of that. If you had the bar graph, I'm not sure you would have been able to see that. So you definitely needed to put it into a line graph. Cool. So the next step today is to take a look at our standard deviation of our data. How far from the mean have we gone with our data today? So let's take a look at that. I want you to watch this video on standard deviation here. Mr. Anderson, our AP guru of science, talks about this standard deviation bell curve. And this is kind of what we're looking at. Here in bio, we're going to look at within 95%. So we're always looking in within 2 standard deviations from the mean of how accurate our data is. So take a look at this video and then jump back here and we'll calculate out our standard deviation. To calculate out the standard deviation for each of these different molarities, here we go. I'm going to type in equals. Don't make fun of me. I don't know why I really have a hard time finding the equal button. Come on. Guys, stop laughing at me. Where's equal? There it is. Whew, it's Italian keyboard. All right, so equal, I'm going to put in ST standard deviation. There it is. And I'm going to put in my, make sure you don't hit the mean here. Close parentheses. So I'm taking the standard deviation of the 6 different, oops, no, I don't want to autofill that way. I want to autofill this way. So autofill, so I grab this little corner piece here and I autofill that way. Okay, so now that's standard deviation of all of those. I'm going to take those out and kind of just work with the one column today, so you can kind of do some work on your own too. All right, so next step after we find the standard deviation is to look at the standard error of the mean. So I want you to jump into this 95% confidence video, and I want you to pause my video and go in there and watch that for about 10 minutes to see how you can calculate out how reliable our data was within that 95% confidence interval. Next point here is the standard error of the mean to see how good we did in terms of our data collection and how far it was from the mean. So there is no formula for this. So we need to type it in. So we're going to put in equals. Okay. We're going to put in our standard deviation. And then we are going to put in divided by square root. Positive square root of the sample size. We have 6. Okay, let's double check that. Close the parentheses around the number, and now I need to close them out of that. Let's take a look here. Okay, 0.041 B9 square root of 6. Good. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look here. We calculated the standard error of our mean using this equation right here. And now we want to look at our 95% confidence interval to see if we're within that 95%, see if our data is within that standard deviation and that 95%. So it is the standard error of the mean, which we just calculated, times the critical t value. So in order to get the t value, you have to use a t-test chart. So we look at this t-test chart here, and we use something called degrees of freedom. So in order to use this t-test table, we're going to look at what's called our degrees of freedom. This degrees of freedom is taking your whole sample size and usually minusing it by 1. So our whole sample size is 6, okay? And we're going to calculate out our degree of freedom for this lab is 6 minus 1 would be 5. So we're going to be, our t value is going to be somewhere. We always do our 0.05 in biology. This is because of our 95% confidence interval. We go up to 5. So this is going to give us a number somewhere between 2.78 and 2.45. So let's see. Somewhere right in the middle here. So I did the calculation, and that would put us right at 2.615. 2.615. 2.615. Wrote that down. All right, so that is our t value. So let's go back to our data, and let's put that in for that equation in for our 95% confidence interval. I put this SEM, standard error of the mean, times my critical t value into here. So we need to do equals standard error of the mean times 2.615. Okay, and that would be my, nope, that didn't work. Let's try again. Equals standard error of the mean times 2.615. Close my parentheses. Nope, that's not working. Sorry about that. Let me try again. Standard error of the mean equals standard error of the mean. I have to use an actual times symbol, which I'm never going to be able to find. All right, I think Elizabeth figured this out. Star, okay, so times and 2.615. Let's try that. Boom. No! You can keep it plugged in. All right, sorry guys, I was having technical difficulties with my keyboard because I have it on an English keyboard, but it's a Italian keyboard. Sorry about that. Okay, try again. Equals standard error of the mean times, woohoo, 2.615. Boom. Okay, so that is what we'll be able to use for our error bars. Take a few minutes and now jump onto error bar video. Take some time, look at that, and then jump back to our class video. All right, so the first thing you're going to do to get these error bars in is you're going to highlight your points. Okay, so a lot of the information I've found on putting in error bars is pretty easy to do in Excel. It is, however, quite complicated in Google Sheets, but I'm going to try it with you. Since our error bars are going to be different for each of the different osmolarities, we're looking at the 95% confidence interval for each one, and they'll be quite different if you slide over and calculate all of that. We have to put in each different mean as its own series. So we're going to create another chart to do, another graph to do error bars. If anyone figures this out a different way, let me know. This is kind of like a work in progress for us. I think I have a student that had shown me a different way. I'm going to touch base with her this week, but this was the only way I could figure out how to do it. So you have to kind of put these, and I'll leave this here for you guys, in their own column in order to create their own series. So if I highlight that and I insert a new chart, and we're going to add in our x-axis again. Okay. And then see right here now, each one is its own series. It has its own color. We can create a customized error bar for each one. So we'll try that. I'm going to do my scatter plot here in order to do this. So to show these error bars, I'm going to go to Customize, and I'm going to go to Series. And in Customize Series, there's an error bar. Now, I'm not applying it to all series. That might be something we do later on, so that's super easy. We just put one in, and we don't have to do all these different series here. But this has, each one has its own color, and each one we're going to do. So I did what? Number 1 here, okay? And I actually have to change this to the right axis. No, I'll keep it at left axis. Let's try this out. I'm going to go to error bars. I'm going to go to constant, and then I'm going to put in that value. So that value for my error bar is here. I don't like when it does that. I'm only doing data series 1. Okay. So this final piece here, we're going to do our error bars for each individual data series set. And you're going to put in this 95% confidence interval there. So I went in and I put our 0.109, this number here, and I can't even see it. So I was like, what's going on? I believe it's there. We just can't see it because it's just so small. You guys did such a great job collecting data on that. For example, if I go and I put in a 5 here, I can see the error bar. So I'm going to just assume for a minute that your data is really good. Even if I put in like a 0.5, you can still see the error bar there. So the 0.1, it's there, but it's super tiny. So then you need to go in and you need to do data series 2, data series 3, data series 4, and add those constant, and then whatever calculation you get for that. Okay, post another video on that because that's kind of confusing, and we'll see how far we get today. Good job, guys.